there, Lorcana lovers, my name's Lizard, and today I'm doing a special giveaway at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around. So, we are less than a week away from the official release of Set 3 Into the Inklands, and I'm super stoked to get my hands on the new cards. But in the meantime, to celebrate the last set, Rise of the Flooborn, I thought it would be fun to talk about the best cards in each ink color. So for each ink, I will pick 2 cards that I believe were absolute staples for the decks they were in. These 2 cards, in my opinion, will be the MVPs of their ink. I will also include the most expensive card in each ink color, just for fun. So let's begin. First, let's start with my favorite ink color, which has got to be Amber. The Amber ink color offers a lot of aggro cards, but also some mid-range stuff, and Amber is also just such a good ink for maintaining tempo. Rockstar Stitch and Carefree Surfer, 2 of my favorite cards from the first set. They were also 2 of the best tempo cards, and are honestly still seeing a lot of play. With that being said, the first card earning a spot in Best in Color for Rise of the Floodborn is also a great tempo generator, and that is Mufasa. Mufasa is a 5-cost inkable character with 3/3 stats, and he quests for 2, and he has the awesome ability that says, whenever this character is banished, look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a character, then play it for free. Playing Mufasa in a character-heavy deck, it's just so much fun, especially if you're able to cheat him out early with cards like Doc, or even Just in Time. Mufasa actually flew under the radar for a little while, but soon enough he found a permanent place in the Ruby Amber deck and also in the Emerald Amber deck. And towards the end of the meta, Mufasa would often be included in just about any combination of Amber deck builds, including like the Steel Songs deck or the Tiana Bodyguard deck. Interestingly enough, Mufasa is also the most expensive card in the Amber ink, sitting at about $18. So next up is a card that immediately saw play because of the already long-established powerhouse Amber Steel Songs deck, which dominated the meta throughout Set 1. I'm talking about Cinderella Ballroom Sensation. She's about a $4 card, and this is a 1-cost inkable character with 1 attack and 2 willpower, and the wonderful ability Singer 3, which of course means she can sing any song at 3 cost or lower. One of the most advantageous plays you can make with this card would be to play Cinderella on turn 1, play, say, a Simba Bodyguard on turn 2, then sing Let the Storm Rage On with Cinderella. More often than not, the Let the Storm Rage On would banish your opponent's 1-drop character and then also draw you a card. If you were playing against Ruby Amethyst, then a lot of times your opponent would have, say, like a Minnie or an Olaf on their turn 1, and even though they both have 3 willpower, putting 2 damage on them was still enough to hinder their game plan, because they would now have to reconsider just what value they needed to get from them. With 2 damage on them, they could no longer act as a 2-for-1. Meaning, normally what Ruby Amethyst control liked to do was, on turn 1 they would play their Olaf or Minnie, and then on turn 2 they would either sing Teeth in Ambition and bounce that card back to their hand, or they would quest with that card and bounce it back to their hand. Now, they could still quest with it and bounce it back to their hand, but the more advantageous thing for them was often to do Teeth in Ambition so that they could take out your 1-drop and still have a card to bounce back to their hand so that they could then play Madam Mim Snake. So Cinderella singing Let the Storm Rage On definitely screwed things up and helped your tempo while hindering theirs. So another thing is, Cinderella was an auto-include for just about every Amber deck. She provided a really good shift target for the Cinderella Stout-Hearted card, which also saw a lot of play in most Steel Songs decks. Okay, my first pick for the MVP of the Ruby ink color would most definitely have to be Lady Tremaine. She's still about a $6 card, and this card is a complete menace. She's a 6-cost uninkable character with 3/4 stats, quests for 2, and she has one of the best abilities in the game. Power to Rule at Last. When you play this character, each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. That means her ability sneaks right around Ward. Minnie Mouse Stylish Surfer. This is my second pick for Best in Ruby Ink because this is another card that you see in just about every single deck list running the Ruby ink color. She's a 3-cost inkable character with 1/3 stats, she quests for 2, and she's evasive. This mini card is quite helpful in both early game and late game. Because she's so cheap, she's just really easy to get online, and because she's evasive, she can often stay in play long enough to generate 2 lore, or maybe 4 lore, depending on what your opponent has in their hand. They might not be able to deal with an evasive character right away. Now, the one card I considered picking instead of Mini is actually the most expensive Flooborn Ruby character, and that is Scar, Vicious Cheater. He would have been my second pick, however, he only just recently is getting the attention he deserves. Because of the recent rise in Tiana decks, Scar basically acts as Be Prepared, regardless of whether your opponent has triggered their Tiana's ability. With that being said, I ultimately think Mini has seen a lot more play, and just overall is a more useful card. Okay, I will talk about these next two at the same time, because they kind of go hand in hand and hinge on discarding your hand. Bucky and Prince John. Bucky's worth about 15 cents, and Prince John is worth about $3, so once again we have very affordable cards. Bucky is a 2-cost inkable 1/1 with Ward and the ability Squeak. Whenever you play a Flooborn character, your opponent chooses and discards a card. Now Prince John is a 3-cost uninkable character with a 1/2 stat line and the ability I Sentence You. Whenever your opponent discards 1 or more cards, you may draw a card for each card discarded. That's a lot of cards. In addition to that being an amazing ability, he also has Ward. So it's easy to see why these two cards work so well together, especially when you have a lot of Flooborn characters in your deck to trigger the ability of Bucky, which then is going to trigger Prince John's ability. Prince John and Bucky were definitely auto-includes in just about every Emerald list. Granted, these lists were typically built around other cards with discard-type abilities, so the synergies were just always really good. I strongly believe both of these cards will continue to see a lot of play, especially as the discard deck becomes more and more viable in the future. First things first, number 1 most played card in Sapphire is hands down Popsicle. This is a 10-cent card, which is awesome, and Popsicle is a 1-cost inkable item that allows you to draw a card, and then at any point in the game during your turn, you can banish your Popsicle and remove 2 damage from one of your characters. Rise of the Flooborn finally solidified what Sapphire was really wanting to do as an ink color, and that is ramp. So throughout the first chapter, there just wasn't sufficient card draw tools to help replenish your hand after you've dumped all of what you had into your inkwell. And then along came Popsicle, which is such a cheap way to draw a card, and then it continues to have value throughout the game because you can then remove the 2 damage from one of your characters. Okay, so the true MVP of the Sapphire ink color has got to be Hiram Flaversham. This is just a $1 card, and he's a 4-cost inkable character with a 1/6 stat line. And his ability is, whenever you play this card, and when he quests, you may banish one of your items in play to draw 2 cards. So now Sapphire is easily able to play cheap items and just continuously gain value from them. This card's just definitely the prime mover in the card draw engine that Sapphire now has. And with this card draw engine, Sapphire as an ink color can do, like I said, what it wanted to do, and that's ramp and constantly replenish the cards in your hand. So I'm convinced Sapphire wouldn't be anywhere near as strong of an ink color if it weren't for these 2 cards. And the most expensive card currently in the Sapphire ink color is Alice Growing Girl at about $9. Okay, so the 2 picks for the MVPs of the Amethyst ink color also go hand in hand. The first one has got to be Madam Mim Fox. This is a 3-cost inkable character with a 4/3 stat line. She quests for 1, she has Rush, and also it says when you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand. This is such a powerful card. Being that it's only a 3-cost and it has 4 attack, it's constantly hitting above its weight class, and it's almost guaranteed to banish whatever it's hitting into in the earlier part of the games. and it's absolutely an auto-include for every Amethyst build I've seen, and it pairs really, really well with this next card, Merlin Goat. So Madam Mim Fox is about a $2.50 card, and Merlin Goat is 10 cents, which is surprising. Maybe, I guess he's included in these starter decks, but so is Madam Mim Fox. I don't know, these prices are confusing. Anyway, this is a 4-cost inkable character with a 4/3 stat line, and he quests for 1. With the ability, Here I Come. When you play this character and when he leaves play, gain 1 lore. Wow, so Merlin Goat is either your favorite card or your most hated card. Not too many people find themselves in the middle. In fact, I recently made a video about a potential ban list, and Goat was one of the few cards currently in question. I feel like I don't need to say much about the Goat because it's pretty easy to see why he is such a good card and why it's included in every Amethyst deck list. I mean, the value he offers is indisputable. The most expensive Amethyst Floodborn card at the moment is Fairy Godmother Mystic Armorer, and she's sitting at about $6. Last but not least, we have Steel. My first pick for Steel is also the most expensive card in the set at about $45, and that's Beast Tragic Hero. He's a 5-cost inkable character with 3/5 stats and quests for 2. Now what makes Beast so popular is his incredible 2-sided ability. At the start of your turn, if this character has no damage on it, draw a card. Otherwise, he gets +4 attack this turn. This is another card that somehow went under everyone's radar at first. However, once people realized its potential, it quickly became an auto-include in every Steel deck, and most likely will continue to be an auto-include in the future, especially once he has a more valuable, more viable shift target. Like, there's a morph card coming in the next set that you're going to be able to shift your Tragic Hero Beast on turn 3, and that is going to be a force to be reckoned with. So the second best in color card for Steel was pretty difficult to decide because I feel like there are a handful of cards that are all very close in value and amount of play that they see, so ultimately I decided to go with Let the Storm Rage On. This card sits at about 15 cents, and it's a 3-cost uninkable song card that says deal 2 damage to chosen character, then draw a card. This card, once again, is an auto-include for every Steel deck. I chose this card over Strength of a Raging Fire simply because this card is guaranteed to deal 2 damage, and it also replaces itself, where Strength of a Raging Fire is just a little bit more situational if you want to get the most value out of it. Well, that's that. I'm curious what you guys think of my picks for Best in Color. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you disagree or agree, I'd love to know what you think. Oh yeah, I mentioned a giveaway. So, to celebrate the end of another great set, I'm giving away a set of all 4 special League promo cards to 1 lucky subscriber. In order to enter for a chance to win these promo cards, you simply have to be subscribed to my channel, like this video, and in the comments below, tell me your favorite card from Rise of the Floodborn. Next week, I'll be uploading another video, and I will announce the winner at the beginning of that video. And as always, be kind and have a wonderful day.